Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. From all indications, the Senate appears set to begin the process of overturning President Goodluck Jonathan's veto of the amendment of the 1999 Constitution. The constitutional amendment bill was listed on Tuesday's order paper for first reading. However, the Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekweremadu, who presided over plenary, said the Senate would go into an executive session on Wednesday, May the 13th, to discuss the amendment of the Constitution. Our correspondent Linda Akigbe reports.
This is it in black and white. The Constitution Amendment Bill listed on Tuesday's order paper for first reading. The listing on the order paper can only mean one thing. The Senate is making moves to overturn President Jonathan's veto of the Constitution Amendment Bill. The National Assembly had completed work on the Constitution Amendment Bill and sent it to the President for assent. But on April 13, 2015, President Jonathan, in a letter addressed to Senate President David Mark, vetoed some of the fresh amendments, saying they infringed on executive powers. The Supreme Court also gave an order to the National Assembly to maintain status quo ante on the amendments of the 1999 Constitution. However, the listing of the Constitution Amendment Bill on Tuesday's order paper is a signal that the Senate is set to ignore the Supreme Court order. Although the matter was listed on the order paper, it was stood down in the Senate. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Rules and Business, Senator Itayanang, in a telephone chat, said it was stood down to allow the Senate discuss the matter behind closed door. The Deputy Senate President also reiterated this.
Please ensure that we're all here tomorrow. We intend to go into a closed door session tomorrow to discuss the issue of the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution and be able to respond appropriately to the development.
A member of the Constitutional Amendments Committee, in an interview after plenary, said the Senate would look critically at the various issues which the President raised and hopefully come to a conclusion.
Some of my colleagues feel that one or two points raised by Mr. President had some merit. This is because those amendments did not emanate from the Senate Committee. They came from the House Committee. So some of those amendments to the Constitution, we are seeing them for the first time. For example, the immunity clause for legislators.
But a federal lawmaker who spoke on condition of anonymity told Channels Television that the National Assembly cannot overturn President Jonathan's veto because of the order from the Supreme Court. However, the spokesman of the House of Representatives disagrees.
The courts have their own powers as enshrined in the Constitution, and that the legislature cannot stop the judiciary from discharging its function, and vice versa. So for us, there are clear principles of separation of powers.
The House of Representatives has not officially stated if it is also making moves to overturn President Jonathan's veto, but the leadership of the House of Reps says it is still studying the order of the Supreme Court. Linda Akigbe, Channels Television News.
Social inclusion and empowerment of women took center stage at the just concluded Global Women's Conference in Argentina. And the wife of the president-elect, Mrs. Aisha Buhari, says global legislation remains the solution to most challenges facing women. Mrs. Buhari spoke on the sidelines of the conference shortly after her presentation on the danger women and the girl child contend with daily. She also called for legislation against early marriage.
Women from Africa, Asia, Europe and the host continent, South America, came armed with expertise, knowledge and the challenges women face across the world. Nigerian delegation, which include Mrs. Hannatu Ngilari, Dr. Hajo Sani and Maria Zian, made their contributions at the conference.
My suggestion is this: a lot of women in the rural areas, even in the urban areas, are more into the informal sector. We can formalize the informal sector, but it takes a political will to do that.
Speaking to our correspondent on some of the consequences of social exclusion of women, Mrs. Buhari pushed for legislation that protects women and the girl child.
We have heard so much from the ministers for women affairs from different countries. We are trying to tally with what's happening in Nigeria. to find out how we are lacking, in which aspect of women affairs that we are lacking, and the ones that we have gone ahead. I think so far it's quite encouraging that we just need to put everything in practice than being in theory. If the government can stand up and say, okay, there's every girl child must attend basic primary and secondary school education before getting married. I think nobody should be, no girl should be married like before the age of 17. That's if you really attend secondary school, you have to be like between 16 and 17. And I think by the time you are 18 to 20, it's quite a moderate time of having a child.
Some Nigerian first ladies at the Buenos Aires conference say they picked a few ideas that will enhance women empowerment scheme back home.
As the first lady of Imo State, I have been doing my bit, but there's still more to be done. And then coming to this conference is more like an eye-opener for me to know what I can also do, especially in this second tenure, to make sure that the girl child and women, you know, be able to attain their goal.
The girl child education, we need to enforce a law, which I think the House of the National Assembly is already doing. Marriage should be after the age of 18 or at the age of 18. And with that, I think primary school to secondary school, one should be about 18.
The global conference ended with a call on government and the international organizations to increase the participation of women in decision-making process.
Let's take a look at some politics now. The People's Democratic Party today lashed out at the All Progressives Congress for allegedly wanting to upturn the victory of the party in Delta, Rivers and some other states. The National Publicity Secretary of the party, Mr. Olisa Metu, today told journalists in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, that the PDP may have lost the presidential election, but that more disturbing is the attempt to scuttle democracy in PDP-controlled states.
In the history of this democracy, it's a party that has never known any defeat. They're suffering their first defeat. There will be trauma. There will be problem. There will be disappointment. You expect us to be in disarray for a while. So in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, people could not understand. Is it possible that the People's Democratic Party, the largest party in this country, the party with the largest followership, will fail an election? So it really cost a lot of things. So you expect what happened in Lagos or some other place to be part of it. But our leadership, the National Working Committee, were determined to instill discipline amongst our followership and amongst our members. It is, however, worrisome and threatening to our democracy that even in victory, the APC has remained desperate, desire to be in control of the polity by attempting to take over the few states genuinely won by the PDP. In particular, our findings show that in Delta, Rivers, and the Akwa Ibom states, the machinery of the APC is working around the clock to ensure that it upturned the victory of the PDP and the mandate freely given to us by the people in these states.
PDP National Publicity Secretary Olisa Metu. And the crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party may be far from over as new twists emerge following the party's loss in the presidential elections. More partymen are also pushing for the removal of the party chairman, Adamu Muazu, as there are indications that the governors are strategizing on replacing the chairman with one of their own. And there may be more cracks, as reports say that some of the governors, especially some of those who were part of the new PDP who defected in December 2013, are planning to form a new party. It's not clear, though, what name or acronym the said new party may bear, but the breakaway, as it's reported, is a signal that some of the leaders of the PDP have eventually aired their grievances on what they referred to as ill treatment meted out to some of them by people within the leadership of the party. Meanwhile, the chairman of the party, Adamu Muazu, says although the loss of the polls is painful, all members must unite and not allow the outcome of the 2015 elections divide them. To security matters, where the trial of Aminu Owuche, the alleged mastermind of the bomb blast which rocked Nyanya, a satellite town in the nation's capital in April 2014, which killed over 70 people and injured several others, again failed to commence. Lawyers to the federal government told the court that 3 of its witnesses were out on official assignment and as such could not be present in court. He therefore asked for a short adjournment to enable him assemble his witnesses and ensure that they are present in court. Our correspondent Amaka Okafor reports.
After several adjournments, applications and rulings, the trial of Aminu Oguche and 5 others accused of being behind the bombing in Nyanya has again been stalled. The Federal Government Council told the court that his witnesses were out on official assignment. As such, he could not open his case. He, however, asked the court for a short adjournment with the assurance that they would be present for trial to commence, a position that was not opposed by the various defense counsels. However, the lead defense counsel, Mr. Ahmed Raji, drew the attention of the court to the fact that they had not asked for bail because of an agreement for a speedy trial. He, however, says that should the delay continue, he will apply for bail or an outright dismissal of the charges, since the federal government has continued to show that it is not ready for trial.
If the delay continues, not only are we going to ask for bail, we are going to ask that the matter be struck out, because fair trial entails good time, more so when the practice direction for terrorism offenses and related offenses, clearly, the practice direction clearly makes it mandatory for there to be a speedy trial, because this is a matter that has generated a whole lot of public interest, both within and outside the country. So it is in the interest of the system that the matter be attended to speedily without any delay. And like we said, the accused persons are inside. They chose not to ask for bail with the hope that their fate will be determined in good time. And if that is becoming elusive, I think the court can discharge the accused, not necessarily accuse them. He may discharge them and order that they be not rearrested until the prosecution is ready.
It is expected that the trial will commence on the next adjourned date. Justice Ahmed Mohammed has fixed 19th of May 2015 for the prosecution to open its case. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
The leadership of the National Identity Management Commission has dismissed claims that it plans to sack over 1,000 members of staff of the commission. The spokesman for the body, Abdul Wahid Umar, says the management plans to retrench staff with fake employment letters. He explained that the affected workers were given an opportunity to regularize their employment, which they failed to do.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever.
Solidarity songs by workers of the National Identity Management Commission. The workers took to the streets in Abuja to protest the planned retrenchment of some of their colleagues.
I applied for leave, they did not give me. I am a witness.
The secretary of the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria criticized the management of the commission for the planned exercise, just as the FCT chairman of the Trade Union Congress bemoaned the working conditions of workers in the commission.
We have situations whereby the staff progression, career progression workers are not guaranteed here. Anybody can be removed from office at any time. You are aware that about a year or so ago, over 4,000 staff of this same organization were retrenched in the guise of redundancy. And immediately the man retrenched them. The DG now flooded this place again with the same caliber of workers.
The issues on ground are very serious. People are asking us, this man time is almost finished, why don't you just allow the sleeping dog lie? But we said no. This man has been showing impunity in all his affairs. As he said before, right behind you, you have a slave camp. Females in this organization, they can't get pregnant.
Yes.
Go and, please, you are reporters, you are journalists, go and do your own independent inquiry about what I'm saying to you people. But you can quote me.
The General Manager of Corporate Communications of the Commission, however, denied the claims of the workers, saying the management is only sanitizing the Commission by enforcing minimum standards and work ethics.
There are issues with over 400 of those employees. That issue was presented to the board, and the final decision is supposed to be taken today. And that is why the gates have been locked. But truly, if they are sincere, they will assert the fact that letters of placement and promotions were given to their members. Those who have been verified and found to have the requisite requirement that we can, after the necessary, what we call disciplinary committee checks, over 300 were found to be qualified to come on board.
With the aggrieved workers shutting down the headquarters of the commission in Abuja, Nigerians who want to collect their national identity cards may have to wait some more as workers vow to keep the place under lock and key until the retrenchment exercise is reversed.
And in Lagos, some members of the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria picketed the National Identity Management Commission office in Ikeja, southwest Nigeria. The association is in solidarity with the staff who've been protesting the downsizing exercise of the commission by the Director General, Mr. Chris Onyemanam.
13, he sacked 55,000. We are still on it, trying to plead with him to bring them back. Instead of that, he now intends to sack 1,000 senior staff. The letters are ready. So we are pleading with the federal government to intervene so that these 1,000 workers will not be sacked. The man has no cogent reason. He said because they are not competent. They are not competent, that's why I have to sack 5,000 workers. If they are not competent, can't you train them? Next action is that first, we've gone to court. Two, we've taken the case to the federal head of service. The federal head of service wrote a letter to him, advised him not to do it. He said he will do it. We took the case to the Ministry of Labour. We declared trade dispute. The Ministry of Labour invited both parties. They say must not do it.
When the news at 10 returns, staff of the Federal Teaching Hospital at Ekiti condemned the abduction of their female colleague. Do join us again.